Hi everyone and welcome back to the Smudging Sage Tarot. As always, we begin by clearing our space and inviting the sacred in. With each breath, we allow truth to rise and illusion to fall away. Today's card is the Nine of Swords. This card speaks to the realm of anxiety, guilt, and sleepless nights. Oh my God. But beneath the pain lies a deep call to compassion and truth for self and others. Let's put it closer and check if it's clear. Okay, so we, as you can see, we are still walking through the Suite of Swords. God bless its heart. Associated with the element of air, the mind that lies, communication, truth, and thoughts. The Nine of Swords is the mind overwhelmed, when thoughts spiral out to control, when fear becomes louder than faith. What is the meaning, the deep meaning of this card, of the Nine of Swords? It represents anxiety, guilt, insomnia, and the emotional impact of our thoughts. It's the card of the inner critic, the 3 a.m. fears, and the shadow conversation we reply endlessly. Who cannot relate to this? It often appears during times of mental or emotional suffering, and yet it reminds us what we fear may not be as real as it seems. The key themes here are anxiety and mental stress, sleepless nights, regret, guilt or self-blame, overthinking and catastrophizing, the need for emotional processing. Okay, this is a red flag. When you feel yourself going back to a thought that hurts you, oh no, I have to process it, I have to go deeper and think about it again and over and over. Stop it, drop it, dump it, okay? This is the only way to behave in these circumstances. In terms of symbolisms, you can tell this is a heavy dark card. There is a black background, 9 swords over the bed, over the head. How can you sleep well with this? Those are the thoughts, the thinking, okay? So, this person sitting up in bed, okay? A figure in emotional distress, caught in a private moment of pain. This is the card of the silent struggle. The 9 swords above represent the thoughts that hover and weigh down, mental noise, fears, intrusive beliefs. Dark room suggests isolation, depression, or even shame. But notice the carving on the bed and the quilt's detail. It shows the spiritual guidance is still present, even when we forget. No window. Oh my God, I cannot sleep in a room without a window. This is an inner experience. This is an inner experience. No outside help is visible, but not because it doesn't exist. Okay? It's always our mind. Remember, the mind lies. In Guided Tarot by Stephanie Caponi, she calls this the inner torment card. The mind turned inward on itself. Tina Gong encourages us to view this card not as a punishment, but as a signal. When pain speaks loudly, it's time to listen with compassion. But what this word means, compassion? Do we know? Compassion. Think about a baby, a young kid that did something that now feels wrong, goes to the mother and tells what happened, and the mother tells to the baby, don't worry, it's okay. You did this wrong, and it's okay, it's an experience. Now you know what is to do this, how it feels afterwards. Next time, you'll do better. This is compassion. And we have to do this with ourselves. When those thoughts come to our mind, I did this wrong, I did that wrong. I'm not talking about killing people and saying next time you do right, okay? So let's be discerning. Let's be discerning and wise, okay? Okay. So, you will do better, and love yourself for what you have done and what you have been feeling through this experience, okay? In numerology, the number 9, it's about culmination. So this is a good news that we are close to an end to a chapter that hurt us. It's a suffering, but we are through the end. Culmination, spiritual awakening, preparation for release. In Swords, it's the mind pushed to its limit before surrender, before that compassion, that love showers you. In astrology, often linked to Mars in Gemini, imagine, it's about mental conflict, aggressive thought patterns, or inner battles. So, a sip of water. Upright. The Nine of Swords points to deep mental or emotional pain. You are likely consumed by anxiety, fear, or guilt. This card often appears when you feel alone in your suffering, but it gently reminds you this pain is temporary and healing is available. The advice here is, speak your fears out loud. Write them down. Bring them in the light. Don't keep them for yourself. Name the thoughts that haunt you. This is the only way to take away power from fear, to bring them in the light and they disappear. This is not a time to push through. It's a time to process and reach for help, both spiritual and emotional. Spiritually and emotionally. You are not alone, even if it feels that way. Now somebody between my audience can say, okay, I live alone. I live in a place where there are very few houses. I'm isolated. I give you this advice. convince yourself that you have always a spiritual team, okay? Put your attention outside. Look around. Look for symbols. The universe speaks with us all the time, to us all the time. Synchronicities, flowers, birds, whatever. There is a symbol that you can start to communicate with. You can have a deck, okay? You can have a deck. And this deck can start to be your friend. And you can start to look at the pictures and think about, as a challenge to your mind, everything you can see in details of a picture, okay? And this is an exercise to put your thoughts outside of your mind. And little by little, you bring your fears outside. And little by little, you realize that saying good morning to your neighbor, the one that just passes by, it's a form of communication. And by doing so, you are not alone. And you can tell, there are no people where I live. Okay, there is a bird, there is a flower, there is a cloud, there is a drop of water. Speak with them. Doesn't mean you are losing your mind. It's healing, okay? Because when you are deep down in here, in this energy, there is no hope, there is fear, terror, and nightmares. So you need, and this is only you can do, you need to step out of your mind. And everything that relates with the outside world is there and can help you, okay? And then you will stop being negative. As I said, speak yourself out loud. I do that all the time. Write down. Name your fears. Those are very golden advices. Now, and remember, you are never alone. Now, and there are people millions of people and they feel alone. So everything depends on our state of mind. So, upright this card in a reading about love and relationship, it means that you may feel regret, fear, or guilt about something unsaid or unresolved. For example, after a breakup, okay? You replay everything you could have done differently and feel consumed by self-pain, okay? So you know this is a red flag and you have to stop that. In a work and career reading, it's a fear of failure or shame around mistakes that may be keeping you up at night, you know. For example, you made a professional misstep and are torturing yourself over the possible consequences, even if they are minor, okay? In a personal and spiritual growth reading, it's about the glorious dark night of the soul. Painful thoughts may be surfacing, asking to be healed. For example, you are doing shadow work and beginning to confront beliefs around self-worth, abandonment, or failure. And those are heavy questions, guys. Now, let's see finally the meaning in reverse. That is always a release in these cases. Reverse the Nine of Swords can indicate that healing is beginning. Yeah, thank God. You are confronting your fears, processing emotions, and slowly lifting the weight. It may also signal that you are suppressing pain, trying to soldier through, when what you need is to feel and release, not refrain, okay? So the advice here is let yourself grieve, okay? Through the pain you have to go. Otherwise, you keep stuff inside, then you get sick. No. That has to be released. You cry, you have a good cry, you take the napkin you have been used to dry your tears, to blow your nose, and then you dump them in the toilet, and you release them for good. You don't keep them around, okay? Even if you did that with the fabric, then say goodbye to the fabric and dump it, because that is the release of the negativity, and you don't want to keep it around. So, as I said, let yourself grieve. You are ready to start healing, but don't rush the process, otherwise it's useless. If you have been minimizing your distress, now is the time to seek support. The mind cannot carry what the heart has never unpacked, okay? Now, but it can be also a good talk with a good person, a good friend, or showing vulnerability with a sibling, even with a parent. Imagine, can be whatever, or as a professional, of course, we know that. So, let's give a practical example for a love and relationship spread. You begin forgiving yourself or others. A painful pattern starts to dissolve. For example, after months of self-blame, you finally allow yourself to see the complexity in your relationship and begin to let go. In a work and career spread, you stop catastrophizing and take a calm, practical approach to a challenge. For example, you realize that the mistake you were obsessing over was fixable, and you finally speak to your manager with clarity and confidence. And you will say, oh wow, I'm going to give myself to the manager. No, give yourself to the craziness by feeling, by having all those nightmares, night horrors, this and that. That is much worse. So, speak up. So then you have to know if it costs your job or not, and if you are ready to face it. Remember, guys, discernment. I give you examples. You know what's best for you. I know nothing about your situation. So I give you examples that can feel very real, because they are, but then it's up to you. You know your situation. Okay, I know you have discernment, so I'm just telling this as a disclaimer. So, in a spiritual growth and personal reading, you start, when this card shows up, you start facing inner fears and begin the journey of release. For example, you have a powerful realization in meditation or therapy that allows you to name the root of your anxiety and release all the trauma. Oh, how good it feels. So, if you like this content and want more of this content, please like, share, subscribe. Final words. The Nine of Swords is the voice of the night that tells you you are not enough. Tells you that you have failed. that it's too late, but it's a liar, okay? That voice is a liar. It is a shadow that loses its power when you shine light on it. This card asks you to take your suffering seriously, not to indulge in it, okay? But to hold it with compassion. What if you are not broken, but simply burdened with too much silence? You are allowed to feel pain. You are allowed to ask for help. You are allowed to heal, okay? On this card, I want to send you plenty of love. I want to burn a little bit of Palo Santo for healing, because this card felt very, very heavy, because this card brings heavy emotions. So we smudge a little bit of the holy Palo Santo, the holy wood, and I wish you a beautiful life. Until next time, ciao.